And we are live. Clapped Out Podcast, episode 7, siete, for your Spanish-speaking listeners. Consistency as none other. I mean, dude, we're the best, right?
Oh, you're talking to me now? Are we talking?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Sorry. Trying to sell some parts in chat right now to some homies.
Oh, you're
Are we
trying to sell
doing?
parts?
Are we doing something right now? Is this live? What are we doing?
Because we are 1000% live on podcast, Facebook.
Stupid idiot, dude. You're just an idiot.
Dude, I don't know about you, but I am excited for this one because we got Retribution finally. Finally.
I don't know what that word means.
Can we talk about this?
Why do you, like, I'm not the boss of the show, buddy.
Okay, I'll talk about it. Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg. If you guys remember last week, we talked about, was it last week or the week before?
'Twas the week before, maybe two. I've lost count in my old age.
And we have been battling a fierce battle.
You notice? Hold on.
Back
Before we
and
start,
forth with the Book of Faces.
hold on, real quick. I just need
What?
to throw this out there because Jasmine, my lovely fiance, whom I love more than anything, she always listens to these murder podcasts, and the podcasts are always with a British accent or an Australian accent, and it draws me in so much more. So I feel like this entire show we should try to do in a British accent.
I'm not gonna.
Hello, governor. Sweep your chimney, wheel, I will.
You know,
It's-
British people don't yell all the time, right?
Terrence from Britain yell all the time, so stick that in your.
And you really should take a deep dive into the rest of Jasmine's podcast history because she
all
may,
murders. All
is she like curious about like how murders occurred,
away.
or is she curious about how to get away with it?
Yeah, if I get shot, it's not. I'll just be honest with you. It's just look into it. Is all I'm saying.
Number just look into it. Number one suspect. Good to know. Now, episode 7, and we are today. I don't know about Logan, but I am ecstatic to report. I know we talked about it last podcast that we got zucked and shut down on Facebook. And we could not
Do
figure
not
out
pass
why.
go. Do not collect $200.
Dude, we got demonetized. And this morning got a fantastic notification that we are back. Finally.
And so
And
now you're back from outer space.
I don't know the words, but
I don't know what that really means ultimately, but it's relieving to know that we were able to power through and actually make something happen. So we got remonetized on Facebook. A couple more bucks going into our pocket to help offset the cost of doing what we love to do to bring you guys this nonsensical media.
terrible media.
And this
I mean-
week's episode is brought to you by
Tin Soldier race cars. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only use the edge.
See, this is the part where I have to talk because on the later feed, you guys aren't going to see the shirt that I'm wearing. This is the Tin Soldiers Race Car shirt brought to you by Tin Soldiers Race Car.
Yeah.
Jason Charles and the boys out there are sponsoring this whole episode. And Logan, take it away.
Yes, Jason and Brad, the whole squadron over at Tin Soldiers Race Cars. They Tin Soldier Race Cars. I always say Tin Soldiers, and it's Tin Soldier Race Cars. They are very good friends of ours. We're continuing the theme of non-pay advertisement for our homies, which we will every week have somebody else. We don't look for people to work with because they fill our pockets. We look for people to work with because they fill our hearts. Damn, that sounded scripted, and it was not. It's off the top of the dome, baby.
So good.
I'm like a battle rapper, only with making dudes feel good about how I feel about them. So, Tin Soldier Race Cars. I have known Jason, Brad, the whole squad over there for quite some time. And we talked last week. I want to get Jason on the podcast as soon as we can. We were going to do it this week. I just got so behind on everything else and wasn't able to schedule it out. We may be able to, I don't know if we can get him on today. If we could, that'd be awesome. But at bare minimum next week or in the next couple weeks, we will get him rocking and rolling. They produce some awesome kits. Not only, basically, step back, Tin Soldier is a chassis shop by the true definition of chassis shop. So if you bring them some half-haggard junk that your buddy welded together in your backyard, they won't make fun of you. They're not going to talk smack. but they will tell you we will not build off of the trash that's already here. We will start from a fresh slate. They are probably booked out 7.5 years at this point. I'm not sure how far out they are, but they're honest, hardworking, and they are God-fearing Americans. And I'm a huge, huge fan of everything that they embody and represent. So shouts out to Tin Soldier Race Cars. If you haven't heard of them and they're not on your radar, you need to get your Doppler checked, son.
Absolutely. Those guys make some killer products. Their product line is not the most massive, but what they do offer is 100% quality pieces of equipment. And this is not a paid advertisement at all, because we both pay retail for everything that they offer, but we just totally stand behind these guys. So Jason Terrell and all the boys up there at Tin Soldiers Race Cars, man, they are extremely knowledgeable. And I think the part to me that drives me to them is that they're pretty damn young, and then like the amount of stuff that their accomplishments that they have achieved in their very short time and being in existence is insane. And they have nothing but fire under their asses, and they are going to skyrocket in flight, if you will. I don't know how much more cliche nonsense I can throw in there, but shout out to both of those.
So
Both
Tin
those guys,
Soldier,
all of
yeah,
those guys,
all of those, the whole
all
team.
those guys. There's more than two.
They I talked to Jason when obviously Brian Tooley Racing on my hat. So when I was with Brian Tooley Racing, I know Brian and Jason had a really good and still have a great relationship. And as a parts warehouse that Brian Tooley Racing has become and servicing a huge amount of customers, I know that Jason was going towards parts manufacturing as well to try to serve the greater good. And one of the things that I thought was awesome about his kind of plan of attack to the market was that it wasn't a plan of attack. It was it's not like, let's find a niche for some gimmicky pile of junk and triple charge what it really should cost. It was, let's find a niche in a corner of the market that is void and empty of proper support, proper parts, and well-manufactured components. And when he did that, and I've told this ad nauseum, I've said this to him, his true spirit, his soul shines through in everything he does. So when you're purchasing stuff from Tin Soldier, you're working with Jason and the crew, you know you're not, and again, not a paid advertisement. You just know you're working with good people. They're just a solid group of dudes. If you're wondering the types of products they offer 4-link brackets. They offer tube flanges. They have the Hammerby shock mounts on their site now, battery tie downs, Mustang pedals, Battle Ready 8.8 kit is one of my favorite products they offer. So if you have an 8.8 rear end, Mustang rear end in your car, they sell a complete kit. It is a complete TSR bracket kit. They use it on all their 8.8s that they install in-house. The kit, I'm reading off a script here, but it's important information. The kit includes the TSR lower control arm brackets with the doublers, the TSR coilover brackets with incorporated anti-roll bar tabs, which just saves you a ton of time and BS. It's already there. Racecraft shock mounts are already there. 36-inch piece of 1.25 Pro Moly spacers and hardware. Apologize for missing the comma there. The kit is also available with the TRZ billet anti-roll bar and upper coilover mount kit to make the ultimate 8.8 rear suspension setup as a complete package. If you go to their website, I'm sure if Ryan, you have it queued up. If you don't know, big deal. But if you go to their website, you can literally, the drop downs allow you to choose exactly what you want. You want the TRZ billet anti-roll bar, you can add it. Do you want the upper coilover mounts kit? You can add it to your cart. As long as you are a decent fabricator, it makes life so much easier. And I know tons of people that have had a great luck with this kit. So shouts out to them.
I'm not sure if this all came through. We're kind of new to the podcasting and Zoom world, but you go to their podcast, man. You smell toast? You go to their website and you can see everything that they offer. It's a very easy to navigate website. Even if you can't afford for them to build you an entire race car, you can probably afford a part or two. And that's where I stand. Mm-hmm. I have seen, and Logan has seen their work in person, me personally on David Farlow's car.
The car's nuts. The car's so nuts.
It's so crazy. And that car is a car that I have.
The only hatchback I like.
It's so let's with David Farlow's car. Let's talk about that for a second. I remember this car when I was no shit.
Put a picture of it up. Get a picture of it up there.
15 years old. As I'm talking about it, I will try to find one here.
Rye was but a young man growing up.
I'll do the intro. You look for the picture.
Sowing his seeds in a barren wasteland of a world. He decided, I'm going to enter the world of racing. Along on the horizon came David Farlow. David shouted out, Rye, come hither.
I got nothing else after that. You can use your imagination on what happened after
Man,
that.
I don't have time. So David Farlow bought this car, and I believe it. If I may be mistaken, but it was his cousin Sam Farlow's car. Now I was a young kid growing up in Durham, North Carolina. Is that coming across there?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so I was a young kid in Durham, North Carolina, working on a big ass Chevy square body with my dad, and I hear this whistle and Cam Lope just rocking down the road, and we live out in the sticks in northern Durham, North Carolina. And I look and I see this yellow Fox body Mustang. I go to the track, Roxborough Motorsports Park. I see this car. Sam Farlow, who is, I believe the cousin of David. So this was, and I hate yellow cars, but this was one of the most
I
influential
hate
cars.
yellow. I hate yellow, and I hate hatchbacks. And
I know.
it's like it literally. They said, Logan, we're gonna put a yellow hatchback together, and you're gonna like it. I would have bet $1 million.
Oh, I'd throw up in your freaking face. dude.
And then they do it, and I'm like, damn. They
So this car, I recall this car. It had a Powerdyne supercharger on it. I think it was a 306, 5-speed, 10-hole phone dial wheels on it. McCreary drag slicks on the back of it, like just total old school. And it was running bottom sixes in the 8th mile at a little podunk track in North Carolina. And I was like, that's the baddest street car I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? Like, that's the sickest thing ever. And fast forward a few years, David Farlow built a few cars and established himself in the industry. Who is his cousin at the time, Sam, was the one who owned it, and he was dropping off my neighbor who is 2 years ahead of me in high school. So this is like a high school car, and you know that's the most influential years for you is in high school. And I guess apparently this car sat forever. I don't know where it sat, but David ended up buying the car, and he sent it to Tin Soldiers, and they did the whole chassis on this thing. And when I saw this car come unveiled, I felt like it was so nostalgic, dude. I felt I was 15 years old again, and looking at this thing and what David Farlow and Eric Gold have done with this car is absolutely incredible. So,
can we talk about the
shout out to
setup,
those
or are you just
guys.
gonna keep going down I'm just trying to figure out.
So the setup on the car is
maybe
a-
stuff that people want to listen to is what I'm trying to get at.
I don't know what turbo they have on the thing because they kind of go back and forth on it because of class rules. But the setup, as far as I know, is a 5.4 liter Ford GT block. So it is in fact a stock block. I think it's a stock crank. If they were listening, they would correct me. But obviously, it's Ford rods and pistons, stock heads, methanol setup on the thing. Basically.
I'm gonna boil it down real quick. No disrespect, or I'm gonna interrupt. The car has a combo in it that should not go fast or as fast as it does. And then they were like, "Yeah, it's gonna do that." And then they went out and they did that.
It's gone sixes in the quarter mile on a 275 radial.
Is
That's
that
all you
public?
need.
I hope those are public numbers. I don't know who
Yes.
road races
Yes,
and
yes,
no time
they
races
are.
anymore.
They did that at MIR. That is
Yeah.
public information. Sixes in the quarter mile at MIR. And Eric Gold is the genius on the keyboard. David Farlow is a beast with fabrication. So shout out to both those guys with regards to they set the motor up. And obviously, to revert back to how we started this podcast, Jason Terrell and the boys set up the chassis.
Good boys over there. Good boys. Good boys over there, Jason.
Sickest Fox body on the planet, in my personal opinion.
In summation, if nothing else, Tin Soldier's logo is super sick. So maybe buy a hat or a shirt or something because they're dope.
Yes.
And my favorite is their tagline.
Look at this shirt.
Yeah, they did a run of those. They're not available anymore. But the best is Built for speed, bound for glory. I love that
It's
tagline.
so good. It's so good.
So shout out to Jason and the crew on that. We appreciate the hell out of you guys just for doing what you're doing. You are very, very awesome human beings. Josh Kalis has just responded. He is going to have to miss the live feed. He is out skateboarding with some neighborhood hooligans, I believe, teaching him how to do flippity doo-dah days.
He's trying.
I'm looking at. He's got a on his Facebook page. He's teaching some kids how to ride. That's cool. I can't even hate on him. Never mind. He's doing good deeds. What a jerk.
He's doing his thing.
So moving along after
Next!
I'm not allowed to yell, so you can't yell. I'm the resident screamer. So if I can't do it,
Sorry.
you can't do it.
I'm just saying next. What else?
What's up? What do you got, Ryan? I know you have something for me.
So are we gonna put the jar? So we talked about we're gonna put a COVID jar up if every time we mention this because I feel like people tune. You smell toast?
This is
Tune into this.
Great.
People tune into us to like avoid and get rid of the political climate or whatever you feel this is, but it's kind of unavoidable in what we do.
Basically, all the races are canceled because of COVID. That's the whole topic.
Everything like 2020 is just, dude, it's just a wash at this point. It's so tough to find somewhere to go race. Now, I will say, like, a lot of the local tracks here are just like, man, screw it. We're going to hold a protest. And I'm holding up air quotes for you guys listening on audio. So there's still options out there, but Streetcar Takeover Charlotte was canceled. And that was the one event where I had the full intentions of absolutely bending you over and spanking you to keep it PG-13.
I don't understand. You have these delusions of grandeur, and I don't understand where it comes from because literally I haven't even tried to turn my car up. We haven't even we haven't even tried to turn it up. We're barely you're the there's way more left in it kind of guy. I get it. I get it. It's cool. Go ahead. I'm stopped. You good?
I'm done.
I muted it the whole time.
done.
Are you done talking?
I'm done talking.
So
Mr. way more left in it.
You
Go
do
ahead.
this. You do this. I'm gonna spank you. I'm gonna drag you. I'm gonna blah. I'm gonna blah. But here's the facts. Here are the facts. These are factual statements. This is not me pulling crap out of my ass. This is facts. Actually, let me pose a question first. How long has your car had an LS turbo combination? How many years?
2013.
Okay, so 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
How many passes have you made with a turbo LS combination in your car?
I don't know. A lot.
Okay, probably hundreds.
No, not even close.
Absolutely hundreds.
No, not even 50s, dude. No way.
Okay. So either way, it's still a stark
I'll let you
contrast.
finish, and then I'll contrast this. Go ahead.
I have made 2 full passes in my car. That's it. 2 full passes. Not throwaways, not lifting, not getting back in it. 2 full passes in my car. And I have already gone 2/10 faster than you.
Correct.
Thank you. That's all I needed to say. So we're good. We can go on to the next topic.
I will fully acknowledge that. So my car has been turbo LS power since 2013. I did not move to North Carolina until
Oh God, another life
2015.
story. All right, wake me up when you're
2 years. If anybody is listening that lives in Southern California, tell me how easy it is to race and drag race in Southern California. I'll wait.
Okay.
And then before that, I was substantially faster than you up until a year and a half ago.
I went 520 whatever at 142, my first pass ever in the 8th. 520
I'm
with the turbo combo, with the current combo.
I'm pretty sure some trash just like flew across the track, but that's cool. That's cool. I'm sorry.
We had
The bottom line, I don't care how long I've had my car, like that's irrelevant. The bottom line is I'm going to absolutely bend you over and butt you
Yeah.
with this car.
That's not
That's what's
not
gonna
accurate.
happen.
So just as a heads up, you should work for CNN. Fake news, buddy.
Fake news.
Two Jay-Z's. David. Oh, I got a great topic. I have a great
Let's go.
topic. We're gonna fly by the seat of our pantaloons here.
That's all we're doing.
David Varner has stepped in. David Varner, I'm going to make this all about you, buddy. So you better strap in. I've talked about import drag solutions before. I will talk about them again. David Varner had some very bad luck this past weekend. He went racing. The whole team went out there. He had a tremendous engine failure. He kicked a rod out of the block. I will say this, watching the video of David's pass where the car, and I don't know if I can find it's not like it was someone on a live feed I saw, and watching that thing kick a rod, his drain pan, his catch pan caught a bunch of the debris. It could have been so much worse where this happened. And the fact that he kept his composure, kept the car straight, nothing crazy happened. He gets out of it, pulls over as soon as he can. And the car is still in one piece. Absolutely amazing job to David. And my heart goes out to you. I've been in your shoes. We just celebrated the 1 year anniversary of my first engine tearing itself to pieces. Everybody I posted the 1 year anniversary and I got a dozen DMs. So what was the prognosis, Doc? What actually happened? What happened? I heard a piston broke. I heard a rod broke. I heard your tuner sucks. Does your tuner suck? I bet it was your tuner. So in the spirit of owning engine failures, I have no idea what happened to David's engine yet. If it was me, I wouldn't even look at the car for another few weeks because I'd be sick. Actually, that's a lie. I tore mine apart the next day because I was so mad at it. But David's car, I'm hopeful when he gets it torn down, we can surmise what occurred there. In terms of my engine failure, everybody continues to ask what occurred, what happened. A lot of people pointed the finger at my tuner. A lot of people said that it was Dynasty's fault. So for the record, the same tune is in the car right now. And I've tried to break that car and it won't break.
Yeah.
So injectors are the same. Literally the entire setup is the same, with the exception of I went to a 24X wheel on the crank just because it's what Mike had available. It was already a billet wheel that was welded to the crank. I now have, I'm not going to say the companies that were in the car, in the engine prior, because it'll turn into a shit fest. And I don't want that. But I now have Cali's Ultra I-beams. I have Wiseco BTR pistons. And I have a Cali's Magnum crankshaft. But the only thing we could figure out from the carnage was at some point it had to have bent or broke a rod on cylinder 1. And when that happened, my assumption based on the way the counterweight looked on the crank was that when it bent, it came down for another revolution. It pulled the piston out of the bore and caught a counterweight and popped the top of the piston off. When it broke the piston free, everything else was just donezo. And it was such a dramatic failure that even trying to guesswork at what had to have occurred isn't fair to any of the parts that were inside the engine. So me saying, I think this is what happened, is still, I think this is what happened. So I'm just not going to take a step back and blame anything because it does nothing for me. It had 17 degrees of timing in it. It had plenty of fuel in it. O2s were spot on. We were in great shape. Shit happens. Party naked. So
exactly. Shit happens. It doesn't. This is racing. Like
it is, man. It sucked. It's given me serious PTSD around the dyno, and I mean that wholeheartedly. So it was even today. So today we had a DSM on the dyno, a very, very loud, all the fuel, all the boost, 60 pounds of boost DSM on the dyno. I physically can't be near a dyno when something's making a high horsepower hit now. Not because, oh, he's a pussy, he's that, but like literally I have crazy PTSD from the failure of my car. We dynoed my car without a windshield. When it let go, all the dyno fans were blowing that flame straight at Hal in the hot seat. and never again, man. I talked to Luis at Fuel Tech. Luis hits me up and Luis is like, hey man, I'm not going to try to do a Brazilian accent because I'll just embarrass myself. But Luis at Fuel Tech, super awesome dude. And Luis is like, hey man, actually I can't remember if it was him or Michael that asked me for him, but the question was, do you mind if we use that footage for Fuel Tech dyno safety video? And I'm like, probably not, probably not. But it puts you into check, man. Things happen that fast on the dyno. You're just
it's racing, and if you're getting into this hobby, or passion or career, depending on what you're trying to make of it. And you are not of the mindset to write everything off at the snap of a finger,
Don't race.
you're in the wrong. Don't spend the money. Like, don't spend the money. It hurts. It sucks. It's a punch in the gut. I have hurt this car on more than one occasion. Not catastrophically as much as what Logan has been through, but I've bent the crank on the thing and like, what's that noise? And why is the oil pressure so low?
Why is the
And
oil pressure
realized-
fluctuating?
What's it making such a racket? Maybe the starter's hanging up. No, it's not the starter hanging up, dude. You're an idiot. And it's just, it's the price you pay. Like, you want to go fast, you want to push the limits, you want to push parts. That's why people buy diapers, and there's a freaking diaper hanging out
Are you gonna pull one out of your pants?
right here.
Yeah.
This is a guy that's in here. I'm wiring his car, and I said, if you want to push what the limits of this car are going to do, you need to buy a diaper, because I'm not guaranteeing anything. There are no guarantees in racing. I don't care what anybody else's results are. And that's somebody else's accomplishments and results are a great goal to strive to achieve or surpass. However, don't expect to achieve those every time, and don't be surprised when it goes south for you. Like, there's so many-
Jeff Ritter. I'd rather race than do dyno pulls. I agree. It sucks.
Absolutely,
And-
absolutely,
yeah,
dude.
I hate it, dude. Hal makes me dyno my own car now after I tried to kill him. So every time, and I think I've talked to you dyno day this last time. It was after the engine went back together. I have never been more nervous in my life than that first pull on the dyno.
Yeah.
And we don't turn it up more than I think the most we saw in dyno was 1220 at the tire. That was the most we made. And we have seen that kind of power out of 6 cylinders on the dyno, and it is heinous anus when 6 cylinders are 4. Dude, Aaron Gregory's car, I hate Aaron Gregory right now, by the way. If anyone's asking, Aaron Gregory and I are in a straight up beef, and I can't beat him on a racetrack, but I'll knock him into next week. You tell him I said that, everybody. Go to Aaron Gregory's house. I'll give you a social security number at the end of this podcast. But Aaron's car on the dyno, for everyone's information, Aaron's car runs a Force Performance Turbo from Robert Young. It's a 4-cylinder, obviously DSM. It is the fastest all-wheel drive automatic DSM in the world. That car comes in on the dyno, and I want to call in sick that day because it's so terrifying on the rollers. Hal makes Aaron drive his car in the dyno too. All-wheel drive dyno with a lot of power is just straight up terrifying.
It's sheer violence. I hate the dyno. I really, really do.
I
would rather, because I don't know if there's a difference in like the inertia and the feelings and what you go through when you're actually on the track versus the dyno.
I feel
But
way more at home down track than I do.
There's nothing to focus on
Yeah.
when you're in the dyno other than the vibrations and the violence of what's going on in there. On the track, you're like, okay, my job here is just to keep the car straight.
I don't know why, but I feel like I'm driving away from danger. Like, I know I'm not.
Because
I
when
know
Once you let go of the button, there's nothing you can do. You're like, you're married to it at this point.
Well,
so
to be fair, if you watch me when I let go of the button, if the car gets out of shape, I do a lot of wop, 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 wop. So, I posted that up. And the video I posted of me squirreling, I tried to get back into it 12 and a half times, which is probably really good for the engine too.
oh yeah, it's totally fine. But no, I've never been a huge fan of. I see dyno tuning as a tool. It is a necessity in the industry. I
See you as a
personally,
tool.
I'm a huge tool. I personally have. The only time that car has been on, that my car has been on the dyno, was when there was a dyno day, and I had a fistful of time slips under my belt, and I was like, yeah, screw it. Like, let's see what it does. I'm gonna go and try to win the dyno day and take home some cash, and it did. And I literally made 0 changes. I raced it at the track on Friday, rolled it onto the dyno on Saturday, made 2 hits on the dyno, and walked away with cash.
Yep.
But my car is entirely street tuned, and when it gets ignorant on the street, and by ignorant I mean tries to swap lanes and get rowdy, then we take it to a prep surface, and where the safety, like I have safety 100% in mind the whole time. Dyno, I just feel like doesn't I don't know, man. Everybody's dyno manufacturers do it all different. DynoJet, Mainline, Mustang Dyno. Like I don't get into the whole argument and the.
Just wait till you work behind the other side of the desk. You'll argue with everybody, dude. I can't. Man, it takes a lot of. It's oh god.
The bench racing kills
No.
me.
The amount of composure that I have to maintain when somebody. I had a client that had. I'm not going to say the car because I don't want this person to see this and think I'm dogging them, and I'm not trying to involve my day job with Clapped Out. But I had a client that hit us up and was like, "How much power can I'm going to call it a Festiva because I don't want to say the car.
Yeah.
How much power can my Festiva make with these bolt-ons and a tune?" And I told him, "Well, generally speaking, this is the type of power they make." And he's like, "Okay, cool." Brings me the car, and the car makes 25 to 30 horsepower less than what I said the general range of these cars make. So I tell him what's going on with the car. I'm like, "Hey, man, just so you know, you're down on power. I'm not sure the reason. However, did you just buy this car?" And he's like, "Yeah, I did. It's brand new." I said, "Okay, I thought the mileage looked low. Did you ever refill the car at the gas station before you brought it here?" He's like, No, I drove it from the dealer for a little while and brought it here." So he bought it brand new off the showroom floor, brought it to us, we put it on the dyno. Why would a car not make the same power on the dyno as 25 to 30 horsepower less than the exact same chassis that we've tuned a dozen times? Why would that be? And the only variable here is that he bought the car at the dealership and didn't refill the tank because some jackass idiot porter, moron, I can't even blame the porter. It's usually the managers, the dickhead, cheap ass sales managers that tell the porter, put regular gas in it, not premium, put 87 octane in it. And guess what? NOx sensor's going crazy. It's not making the power. I tell the customer this. He gets all pissy with me. I'm like, whatever, it is what it is. If you want us to pump the tank out and then put 93 in it, we can. Reluctantly, he agrees. Well, here's the question for everybody. Is there labor involved with pumping a tank dry and filling it back up? Yes, there is.
1,000%.
Who pays for that labor? You, as the customer. It's not free. This isn't UNICEF. Maybe one day a charity will get involved in Performance Automotive. Until that point, you have to pay for the work to get done. Pump it out, put fresh octane, 93 octane in there. Here's the kicker, and this made tons of sense. It only picked up like 4 horsepower on 93 octane.
Oh, man.
He was salty. But the thing is, I didn't promise anything. What I promised was we'll tailor your tune to the proper octane in which the car should have. And the argument was, and I won't name names again, so-and-so in the Chicagoland area has a dyno, and they made this much. You guys just don't know how to tune these cars. And then he starts MFing us up and down, at which point I have to exit the conversation because I'm not going to deal with that. And the owner of the company, Hal, is the most composed guy you've ever met. And even when he's mad, it's just the most like political mad. He'll be like, "Okay, all right, sir, if you're going to, I'll let you finish talking and then I will talk." And you hear him say that in the next room and you're like, get him. Anyway, he talks him off a cliff and we never hear from the guy again. We tell him we'll retune his car. We'll bring it back. We'll make it right. Bring it back. If you think we don't know how to tune it and you want us to take some of this power out here and we'll make it right, whatever you want. We never saw the car again because when you launch the car, it spins all four for like 60, 80 foot. This thing was a monster on the street. It was so much fun, but it was just, you can't please everybody. It's just part of it. And dynos, the reason I say that is because dynos are the worst fuel for ignorant arguments you could ever ask for.
Yes. It's a tool, and as many tuners, I am not a tuner, you're not a tuner, but repeatability is what is the key here. Are you feeling the bass? Take me to the river. Sorry.
Yeah. Repeatability, tunability. What were you saying?
I can't maintain my composure when you're holding a bass. If you guys are listening to this on the podcast app, Logan is now making out with a bass.
You don't judge. Okay? You don't judge.
A bass fish that looks much like the one that is on like the
Next topic.
what's the next topic?
The next topic is going to be. I thought you were going to finish my sentence. You don't have anything?
I don't remember.
Oh, man. All right.
Somebody talking about?
Here's what we're going to do. We got 40, 50 people in the live feed right now. We want a topic to talk about. You tell us what you want us to talk about. We're going to riff So we have to wait for the live feed to catch up to this part of the conversation.
Hey,
Once it does-
my car runs. We can talk about that
I don't
while
care about
people
that.
catch up.
I just would rather them just give us a topic. I would rather.
Well, we can
never
talk about it while people catch up, instead of like downplaying my accomplishments.
1 second, 2 seconds, 2 seconds.
We talk
Give
about
us a
why-
topic. Hold on, if we can get it before we talk about your car.
Why are your wheels, tires, hood, and seats all in your podcast room inside your house in your guest bedroom?
How you call it my podcast room?
Welcome to my humble abode. In here you'll see my podcast den.
Shout out to Mr. Brian Tooley, who's watching with us now.
Brian Tooley left me a voicemail. I'm gonna play this voicemail, Brian. Hey, Brian, this will teach you to leave me voicemails at 9:44 p.m. while I'm sleeping. You big jerk.
Tyler, man, I can't read your last name, Tyler. Tyler, let's just say Tyler wants to know, where would I fall on the 252 list right now? Probably number 15, dude. Those guys are a bunch of killers on
Bring
that
back
list.
roast my ride, Mike Merriman. Okay, Mike, post a picture of your car, bud.
Oh, I know Mike Merriman. Mike Merriman's a buddy of mine. And he has
that makes it even better. I'll look at his car and roast it. You guys are good friends?
He has an FD3S with a rotary in it. Had.
All right, I like him. Never mind. We need someone else to roast. Talk about how much you hate Aaron. Oh, that's funny. Aaron Gregory. Why do I hate Aaron?
Matthew, hold on. Matthew, I'm working on uploading them. I'm going to upload all the current ones,
He's not good
including
at this
this
job.
one, this week.
Mr. Brian Tooley. Brian's a good old boy. Oh, Brian's a good old boy. I was trying to play his voicemail he left me. It was ridiculous. He's like, I'm sitting here with someone. I don't know who he was out to dinner with. Somebody's like, you won't even answer your phone. You're making me look stupid. It was so good. I woke up and heard the voicemail and was crying, laughing. Texted him at like 4:30 in the morning or something, like, hey man, sorry I was sleeping. He's like, you keep very weird hours, my friend. Yes, let's see, status on Drag Week or Ryan Drag. We need answers. Drag Week's canceled, Brandon, unfortunately. It sucks, but it is what it is. COVID is
Yeah.
great.
So they're doing Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0 at the same dates as Drag Week was supposed to be, but unfortunately, my employer, like we talked about in the last podcast, I have a travel restriction laying over me, and it is. I thought it would be lifted by this point, and given current circumstances, it is getting more and more strict as time goes on, which was not at all what I expected. So for me, like we talked about, Logan and I talked about offline, basically it seems like the 2020 racing season
No, I got a great lead in here, buddy.
is a complete wash. Yeah, I would love to see Logan's lead in here because I'm sure it's going to be him
Exciting.
bagging on me.
No, I do that enough.
Ready, go.
David Varner brought a very good point up as you were talking. With limited spectators allowed, thoughts on pay-per-view big events, some revenue for tracks. Before you immediately talk over me with your opinion, can I give mine? Because I know you're ready.
Yes,
So-
yes. Go ahead.
Good.
Go.
So, when it comes to, first of all, my computer's about to turn off. So when it comes to pay-per-view events and my thoughts on that for the tracks, to keep the money funneling to the tracks, I am 1,000,000% behind that. I'm behind even the way that Cletus does the Fantasy Factory, the Freedom Factory stuff. I think it's amazing. Here is the biggest problem with the pay-per-view events. Rye or Cletus, in a race, I don't know. The biggest problem with pay-per-view events, in my opinion, to keep some of these tracks alive is the equipment it takes and the staff it takes to run those pay-per-view events efficiently and have a nice crisp feed that everyone doesn't bitch about. By the way, every bench warmer that complains about Speed Video's live feed, just shut your friggin' mouth, dude. Go to the track if you don't like it.
Thank you.
Go to the track if you don't like.
Thank
Literally,
you.
you didn't pay a dime. And when they started charging, everyone's like, I can't believe they're charging. I can, man. So
Yes,
if the live feed's that
absolutely.
bad, I get it. If you paid for the live feed and it was bad, yeah, I could see that. I could see you getting pissy. But when it was 100% free,
Dude.
the amount of people crying and screaming, shut the hell up. Go to the track then. You can get off your fat ass and go to the track. Sorry,
Do you
heated.
understand what it takes to put on a television level production? Like, there's a reason that ABC, CBS, NBC, ESPN, and all these companies make bagillions, that's not even a real word, dollars of money putting on these events and documenting and casting them to you. So when a little podunk company such as Speed Video, and I'm not trying to insult
I'm out.
Speed
Why?
Video,
They're not podunk. They're massive.
but they are that, but
Podunk. They're huge.
compared to ESPN and the likes of like these cable network companies, they're expecting like Super Bowl levels of quality. Like, you're not going to get it with a company like Speed Video.
I disagree. I disagree completely. I think you're completely off base. I think what you're confusing, because if you've seen the trucks they bring and the equipment they bring, I know you have on Drag Week. You've seen this stuff,
Dude, no. Drag
Okay.
Week is not. It's they got to go track to track. They got to set up and tear down
I think what
every
you're.
single day.
Here's the thing that
5
you're.
days a week.
Here's the thing you're not considering. I disagree wholeheartedly that Speed Video is podunk, and I think I disagree completely that Speed Video has like a jerry rig setup, because that's what you're insinuating.
No. That's not what I'm
Let me-
saying. I'm saying
finish.
that they are not. No, let me finish. I'm saying that they are not at the level of like NFL, NBA, whatever. They are still top tier for
Mhm.
what they do.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Mhm.
So don't complain when the feed goes a little bit wonky because you're at they're trying to rely on the Wi-Fi at some racetrack in the middle of freaking Midwest Wisconsin or whatever. Go. Tell me I'm wrong.
Wondering if you're done saying that
I'm
Speed
done.
Video
I'm
is
done.
podunk. So
I'm not saying Speed Video is podunk. I
So,
love those guys
Power
because they
Auto-
broadcast everything we do.
Power Auto Media, Speed Video, all those companies, the effort and the money they put behind those events, and they put behind the live feeds. Here's the other thing too. I'm not going to keep digging into you for being an idiot about Speed Video being podunk, by the way, you moron. So
I'm not calling him podunk. Other people call him podunk. I don't.
you
call
literally
him podunk.
called them podunk.
I don't
lit-
call them podunk.
The best is this was live. I love. It's like having a
Whatever.
stenographer. It's like a
I didn't.
stenographer.
If I said podunk, I don't mean to call them podunk. I mean
I'm done.
they
Sorry.
are not as big as the big network companies.
We have the
And-
same. We have the same opinion on the people that complain, and that's all that matters. The one thing
Yes.
that was the one thing that was brought up just now was Kyle Workman said, "I was all for Speed. Yeah, you got to take a swig of that to calm down. You're getting heated, buddy.
Oh, my
I was all
non-alcoholic
for
beer.
Speed. I was all for Speed Video charging, but I do wish they charged per event instead of monthly. I completely agree. I don't like being roped into a subscription because should Speed Video go do a live feed of like tractor pulls? I don't care about tractor pulls. However, that being said, if
I
I
do.
could, I remember when we decided to launch a live feed in a podcast, one of your big concerns was whether or not I would consistently interrupt you or talk over you. Yet I feel like the shoes have been on the other foot most.
It's a conversation. This is how conversations go. It's not
right there.
interruptions.
Again. Like I couldn't even finish my sentence. Like,
Exactly. I'm not gonna
God,
let you get
here
away
we
with
go.
it. See, this is the thing. There's a green box over these two things right here on the live feed that tells us who has command and authority. So when whatever, look, it's a conversation, bro. Go.
Point being, David Varner brought up the point. How do you feel about pay-per-view instead of spectators? I 1,000,000% agree with it. I think it's a brilliant idea. And I think if I was a track owner right now, I think I don't want to be Blockbuster Video. I don't want to die. So if I was a track owner right now, I would be taking a percentage of whatever profit you can scramble together. And I'm not saying that negatively. I'm saying that because I know you're in a pinch. And I would put it towards a trackside internet connection style live feed offering. And I would use that and I would promote my events specifically on social media and let people log in and watch for free to get the attention to the track. And then once that attention has grown and the media and the market was large enough and your pool is large enough, you can bring on big time sponsors like Clapped Out, and we would pay up to $12 a month to be a sponsor of the live feed. So if you all are looking for us to sign on, I'll tell you right now, I'll
Whoa,
save.
wait.
I'll
I
save it.
know how much money we have in our bank account.
All right, $9 a
Nowhere
month.
near that much.
Sorry, but that's my thought. Like you get, if you can, basically I learned a long time. I learned at Brian Tooley Racing to control when I when I got the job in marketing there, I learned very quickly you have to control your own narrative in the marketing world, and that includes working with only racers that you want to support and will carry your brand name properly. I worked with a lot of racers that didn't do that, and it sucked, but it's lessons learned. And the same goes for a track owner or a motorsports outlet. Control your own destiny. So create your own buzz. Don't rely on promoters. Don't rely on the racers all the time. You need to, that you depend on them, but rely on yourself to create a buzz that is so large that your own media outlet is your biggest asset. And I think that would be a huge opportunity. If you're listening, Aaron Sipple at Kentucky Dragway, get some live feed action. I know you do it. You actually, I will say,
absolutely.
he has guys walking and filming for Kentucky Dragway, doing live feed on their phones, which has been awesome for people to watch. So that's
I feel like you bring up a very good point with that. Like, if you're in a state or a county or whatever that is that, given the current times, not like, I hate going back to it, but the current times, you have to adapt. If you're a business owner, you have to adapt to the times. If your mentality is like, I'm just going to throw in the towel, then absolutely you're going to fail. But like Logan said, that it's not an impossibility. And this is just something that's kind of coming to light with me. And I was very like, oh, I feel these tracks, like the guys that are like, woe is me, we have to shut down. And I get it. But if you can circumvent the system some way, find a loophole, just put the racers in there and say F the spectators, but and figure out a way to broadcast this live. Like, I don't know what track owners are listening to this podcast, but if there are, get creative and figure out how to keep your head above water until this is all over with. There's plenty of people that would pay a decent amount of money to watch whatever events you're putting on. Like, look at, I don't like giving him any more shine than he already has, but look at what Duck does. Like, how much money does that dude make on live feeds alone?
I can't say over the airwaves, and it's not good business to say, but
We've talked about it.
Yeah, and I know what it costs to be the title sponsor of a duck race for Speed Video, and I will say, oh my God. So, and we did rough math, like really, really rough math on how much Duck put in his pocket from the last lights out. And it's, again, rough math. And I won't say the number that we came up with. However, it is insane.
But now think about, given current circumstances, if he put on a no spectators race, but charge pay-per-view money for a live feed, and everybody across the country is kind of itching to watch a big event go down, maybe he won't make as much as he would have made putting people through the gate. But
I mean, I don't know, man, because what is it, $50? What's a spectator ticket? 20, 50, 30? What is it?
I don't say, I don't know. I've never been to one of the biggest thing,
the vendors. So you get in the gate, these aren't real numbers, $50 to get in and watch, right? Well, then get a hot dog, get a beer, get whatever, buy apparel, walk the booths, meet vendors. By the end of the day, you're spending $200-$400 before you know it. And it gets wild. And you support those smaller guys. You get a hot dog cart out there. You got concessions they want to make some bread. Like, I completely think the ambiance of being at the track on a serious race day is something that you cannot replace with a live feed. However,
absolutely,
if it was 112 degrees out and I had the option between kicking back on my couch in my underwear or standing outside to watch a race,
yeah, I'll pay $60 to watch a live feed
all day,
pay-per-view, like 3-4 days. If I could watch 8 hours of racing for 3 days and pay $60 to $80, I'm gonna do that. I'll pay that if it comes down to it.
Yep, there's no question in my mind. I would do the same, man. I think it's interesting to see people, again, circling back. And thank you, David, for the tangent. I appreciate it.
Which one? Where I sound like my wife? Oh no, that was
no. About the pay-per-view stuff. I think the shift is coming, and I think it's going to be very large. I think we are in a very unique place in motorsports as a whole. We're going to see the development of electric vehicles get crazy. We're going to see automated systems on vehicles get crazy. We're going to see tracks having to adapt to so many different circumstances like this. From a political climate and a social climate, I don't know what the future holds. I know that I have gone down the rabbit holes, and I have I've explored some of, we'll call them conspiracy theories. I don't want to call them that because a lot of the stuff lines up, but looking down those different avenues, it is a little scary to be in the motorsports world right now, not knowing what the future holds. However, prohibition hit, and what happened?
Speakeasies.
Everybody decided that we need to make a hot rod to run from the cops.
Take it to the streets, son.
Everything, man. It's just like I straight up got goosebumps just talking about it because I don't care where I am. I don't care what's going on in the political world. I don't care what's going on in the social world. I mean, I care, but it's not going to stop me from getting in my car, turning the key, and hitting it.
Yeah, dude. I like the where I'm here in North Carolina. Governor just said like no alcohol sales after 11 p.m. I'm like, man, this. I mean, and you remember watching documentaries or reading about like the 20s, right, with the Prohibition era and speakeasies and Al Capone and all that stuff. I'm like, man, this is gangster kind of shit. Like,
Yeah.
maybe
It
it's
is-
maybe
it is
it'll make
insane.
a comeback a little bit, and I kind of feel like racing might do the same thing a little bit. And I think it would be if it does happen and it can be documented without like getting in trouble, it could be an era of the racing world that in 10 years our kids are going to talk about if they're into racing. Like, man,
Yep.
the government outlawed racing, and these guys were like, nah, and they went
So
out and
here's,
did it
here's
anyway.
there's another point on there, and this is something that I've it's been brewing in the back of my head for a little while now, and I'd like to get people's opinions on it. And Vinny Barker, what is up, you big winner, you?
Dude, our boy, what's up? Vin?
So actually, he was my boy first. You stole him. So here's something that I've always kind of had kept in the back of my head. The EPA, and I hesitate to even mention the EPA. However, the EPA is shoveling so much shit down aftermarket companies' throats. They are trying to put a stranglehold on the performance automotive world. The SEMA core, the SEMA group, is doing all they can to fight that, and asking on locals to reach out to their senators and congressmen and women to fight against the, in my opinion, ridiculous restrictions they're placing. They're trying to kill racing. It's really what they're doing. These assholes are trying to kill racing, and I don't care. They are straight up assholes. And here's my thoughts on that. I don't care. I think if you were to really step up and you try to really put a knife in the throat of the racers and what they love, you will see Washington again. However you feel about protests right now, I don't care. There's a lot of people saying a lot of ignorant shit about the people that are out there protesting peacefully, and it's their right to protest peacefully, whether you like it or not. It's their right. And as racers, can you honestly tell me, as a dedicated racer, you wouldn't be protesting if the EPA stomped out racing for good? Would you be in your car, race car or street car, on the streets of Washington, D.C., smoking that MFer through all gears? Yes, you would. So would I.
Absolutely.
So would Rye. So
Take it to the
again,
streets.
apples
Let's
to
go.
oranges comparison about what's going on now. However, my point is, should they continue to try to push that and push there are so many ways that this place is polluted that it has nothing to do with their local track and people being able to race, that it blows my mind they're trying to step on this industry. If you look at the billions of dollars that this industry brings in and the tax money this industry has paid to these crooked ass politicians over the years, and now they want to put a stranglehold on it, I think you're going to see an insane, if my boys don't show up, if y'all racers don't show up with me, I'll go by myself. But as God is my witness, I will not stop, and I will not stand by if they really try to snuff it out. Reach out to your Congress people if you are unfamiliar with what's going on right now. SEMA has a ton of documentation on what is truly happening behind closed doors and the actions that they're trying to take. Because if you think it's not coming, it is absolutely coming.
If you go to SEMA and their website, you can find, like, literally they make it so easy. You can click it down to the state that you live in. They have a template that you can click on to send it specifically to your governor. Like, you can literally, you don't even have to actually type your name into these formats on most of the emails that you can send to oppose whatever legislation they're trying to shut us down with. Check out SEMA. I think it's SEMA.org or SEMA.com. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head.
SEMA.org/SEMA News is a good outlet.
Yep.
Currently, They have coronavirus updates there too. So it's a ton of information that they allow you access to there. A lot of B2B information there. If you're a member of the SEMA Data Co-op, it's huge as well. There's also for our shop owners out there and our engineers out there, there is something called the SEMA Data Tech Transfer. And when you're a member of SEMA, you are allowed access to a lot of, I don't know what to call them, SolidWorks, CAD files, whatever, 3D files of OEM engine parts. So a lot of places got their start over joining the SEMA Data Tech Transfer. I would be lying if I told you how much it costs, but you can get these files and you can start producing products specifically for different chassis that they offer. The SEMA Data Co-op, if you're a business owner, a shop owner, it allows you attribute data and all sorts of data on products. It's huge. It's awesome. The act that I'm referring to, though, is the RPM Act. And the initial tagline here, protect your right to race. The EPA is banning race cars. Tell Congress to pass the RPM Act now and stop the EPA from destroying motorsports in 2020. Your member of Congress needs to hear from you now. Here is what the EPA is wanting to do, just so you guys are aware. Street vehicles, cars, trucks, and motorcycles cannot be converted into race cars, according to the EPA. So no more. The EPA has announced that enforcement against high-performance parts, including superchargers, tuners, exhaust systems, is a top priority for 2020, which they've already gone at. The RPM Act was just reintroduced. Even if you're one of the hundreds of thousands of enthusiasts who contacted Congress in the past, we need your support again. Tell the bureaucrats in Washington that race cars are off limits. If you guys could see the trickle down of motorsports to everything from military and medicine, everything. When I went to the Dale Earnhardt Enterprises facility in North Carolina, I forget his name and I feel like an asshole for it, but he was walking us around the facility and telling us about how the NASCAR engineers were contracted when the shit hit the fan overseas. And after 9/11, they were contracted by the US government to shift all their focus and priority onto making sure that our vehicles were reliable in the weather overseas and sandstorms and heat and all this shit. NASCAR, we're like, okay, everybody get together. We got our boys to help. From motorsports. And now you want to snuff that out? You want to help snuff out what created this? I just think it's absolutely asinine. And I hope anybody that's in favor of these things being destroyed gets bad luck for 7 years, because I don't want to say anything I'll regret. So I'm done preaching. I just get so heated over the God, it pisses me off, dude.
It's something we're talking about, because if we don't stand up for ourselves, like they tried this a couple years ago, it got shut down, but they're gonna keep trying it one way or another. And we need advocates out there, whether it's ourselves or SEMA or somebody needs to have a voice in this. And if you're just like, meh, I'll let somebody else talk about it, then you're gonna get shut down.
Yeah,
one way or another.
If you guys out there can make fun of people protesting right now, given our current social climate, and talk shit about them doing what they're doing in peaceful manners, and you don't go protest what's going on here, and you don't bare minimum reach out to your bureaucrat, you're a hypocrite. Like, I don't care. If you truly think that the protests right now aren't adequate, you don't think it's reasonable, I'm not going to say you're right or wrong. Let me be very, very clear. I am riding the fence on this one because everybody has their own opinion. However, if you think that protesting is BS and you just don't care about it, that has to apply to the RPM Act too. That means you can't protest that, right? Watch everybody freak out right now. What are you looking at? What?
No, Vinny Barker asked if I was drinking Bud Diesel. No, yeah. Vinny, I'm drinking Bud Zeros.
Yeah. So
non-alcoholic beer, because I got responsibility.
In summation, black, white, purple, green.
Doesn't
sequence.
matter.
I don't care. Get in your race car and let's ride on Washington, D.C. as a team. Because honestly, one of the coolest things about racing and one of the coolest things about motorsports, especially right now, Rye, you'll probably agree, is a lot of it is race free. That's crazy. Racing is race free.
Yeah, right. I was like,
I don't know how to do a tagline there, but I don't know, man. It's just like
it really is like
pulling the pits, and it doesn't. I don't
absolutely
give a shit, man. I don't care what.
It doesn't matter.
Like, I want to bust that ass regardless.
Yeah. You put a helmet on, I can't tell what color you are, nor do I care.
Yeah, I don't give a shit either way.
Fuck you up either way. Anyway, this is the Clapped Out Podcast. Check out clappedout.com/store. We got some merchandise over there. We keep talking about it, but we're finally going to be about it, and we're going to get some new merchandise put up there. T-shirts, hats, stickers, etc. And that's about it. Logan, you got anything to close us out with?
The last thing I have is a clarification over the last comments that I made. I want everyone to be aware that the Clapped Out is not about politics, and we are not about hating on anybody in particular or any of that stuff. All I want, and I think I can speak for Clapped Out, all Clapped Out wants is for everyone to love everyone and for us to be allowed to enjoy our freedoms that people like Rye and Jasmine, my lovely fiance, have fought for this country. We are a free country, and if you're going to step on our throats, EPA, we are going to step back. So love you guys. That's my closing thoughts. Everyone love everyone.
Clappedout.com/store.
Store.
This is a Clapped Out podcast. We're out. Peace.
I want the last word.